I am Brad motherfucking Chester, and I've got some three other rowdy people with me tonight. Down below me is
I don't know who's below you, so which one's below
well,
you?
clearly you're below me, Tom, but
Oh,
also on the
I'm
screen.
great power bottoms. All I gotta say on that one. My name is Thomas Ogden, and I'm the world's famous Brad Whisperer. I control that man, the little midget that could.
And I'm Legion Brian Horton, the TO quote unquote extraordinaire.
And I am Stephen Crawley, the Tau disciple of Tom, or Tom disciple of Tau, depending on how you want to look at it.
We're doing stuff and things today.
Well, we're definitely talking about the weekend, especially your big weekend, Brad, with the salamanders. Why don't you tell us about your list?
I had to give some props out real quick because I was supposed to get some models, and those models then didn't come in. I've given Sam mad credit, but he was like, good news and bad news. Good news, I'm getting everything you need for Cherokee done this week. Bad news, my wife came up to me and said, I totally forgot to mail that package. It's still in my back seat. I was like, so I messaged over all to the really great guys at the Melee at Shiloh down in Arkansas, all Blake's crew. And not only did they get me everything I needed to play, but if I would have played with everything that the community came with, I would have definitely dominated that tournament because they brought like 15 extra last cannons and all kinds of other stuff. I'm like, I'm playing with everything you guys brought. This is going to be an easy tournament. Just got to play with 500 extra points. That's the key.
He's like, Marine's got like an extra 100 points this edition, or this meta edition, I should say. Why not just take an extra 500 on top of that? Screw it. Let's do it. Let's roll it. But listen, real quick, before we go anything else, we got to have the Bradning right now. Before we go into any recaps, because this is the first recap, we've had a lot of people reach out to me asking about Brad's salamanders. And Brad messaged a couple of them, like, hey, I'll get a sneak peek. No, we don't want a sneak peek. They want a 5 to 10 minute Bradning to explain what your list was and how it did well. Because in the world where we have the fierce space wolves, the stout Iron Hands, the Crusading Templars, one man said, fuck that. I'm running salamanders, taking it to a GT, and then went undefeated. So, Brad, tell us what you did with your list.
You know what? Here we go. I got it up in BCP. Bam! Except for it covers my head and your head. It's a Brian show right now. I'm working you like a puppet and talking about these salamanders.
Yeah.
So I love the idea of full rerolls. So I've got Primaris Chapter Master giving full rerolls to like a last cannon squad, and then Vulcan either gives full rerolls to some flamers or to a unit of attack bikes. And I've got 2 units of infiltrators because, man, if you're not putting infiltrators in your Marines, you're crazy, bro, because they are so good for blocking out. It's amazing town. I got 6 aggressors so that I could split them if I want or keep them as the total package mojo. Primaris Apothecary that kind of just hangs with everybody. My one relic, I should put this together, was the Obsidian Aquila, which is a 6-inch Feel No Pain bubble off my Chapter Master. So I had 2 different Feel No Pain bubbles coming off the Primaris Apothecary and the Chapter Master. I had a Vanguard Vet unit because I basically had points that I needed to scooch in there, and I hated them with a passion of 1,000 suns. They bounced off fucking everything all weekend. They can go to hell and they can die. So I did have them jacked up equipped because I only had X amount of points. I had 3 units of attack bikes with multi-meltas, 3 solo land speeder tornadoes, 2 devastator squads with las cannons, and 6 eradicators with 2 multi-meltas. And the MVP of the weekend was just the attack bikes, man. I put 1 unit in reserve quite a bit. Being able to walk on for free now is so freaking huge. It's just gigantic. And I loved it. I mean, they just did work all weekend long. And the tornadoes, I loved them as singles. If I was running like Dark Angels, Iron Hands, I'd probably run squadrons of them, getting all the buffs that they have with those speeders. But like, I loved having the solos, just pinging away, popping out, occasionally stealing an objective or getting a bonus for the mission and stuff like that. So I really felt good about this list. I don't know what the one thing I would change I would take out the Vanguard vets, and I might possibly go with 3-man aggressor squad added to this, and then find a home for those extra points. But they felt like meh. I just needed something a little bit faster, so I put those guys in there. And that's the only thing I would change on this. I felt very strong with this list. I loved it. Popping that +1 to wound strat on on the last cannons every turn, and then of course the multi-meltas and the flamers are +1 to wound inherently in tactical was fantastic. It just felt really good. Promethean Creed's a great secondary.
Do you think they're your best play for Marines right now, or do you think you can squeeze a little more at Iron Hands or Space Wolves?
I think I could squeeze more out of a Space Wolves because there's a lot of armies. Like when I played against GSC, I really wish that I had just more volume of even attacks. And I was a little worried if I had played into things like War Leaders. I could kill them fairly quickly, but I don't have a lot of punchback. It's basically the aggressors. So I was wondering, as far as like what I think is going to give me the best chance to be optimized, I think the Space Wolves. The only thing is the Space Wolves are the hardest by far to play. You can make some mistakes in your movement, and the game can really fall apart. Go ahead.
That's one thing I was thinking about Space Wolves. I mean, you kind of talked about it when we first talked about Marines when we saw all the changes. They remind me a lot about Tau. So, in the way I say it is like, there's obviously some easy choices you're gonna make the list, and there's gonna be some little bit nuances here and there that a player will get for their little flare in, but they're the Space Marines chapter that plays like Tau, where I think anyone can be good with them, but to be great with them, you can't make any mistakes.
Yeah,
gotta play in that sharp edge, and then just play perfect.
Sam, real skills would be Brad make Imperial Fist good. I have my limits, man.
Challenge accepted. Taking Imperial Fist next GT I go to, which is Adepticon. Let's do this.
You could do that. You could effectively just make an Iron Hands list, and it would ignore cover, and it wouldn't be as good, but it would ignore cover. You could
I'm sorry, Brad. I think you misunderstood what I said. I said challenge accepted. I didn't mean I was playing Imperial Fist. You're playing Imperial Fist.
Well, I kind of figured that in the first place. So, I'll just go ahead and make it.
Wait, Tom, is there a ham sandwich involved?
Turkey.
There's always a ham sandwich involved.
Give me that turkey sandwich, baby.
Brad, you don't deserve a turkey sandwich.
No, not turkey for that. No, it's a ham sandwich.
Only a ham sandwich? I feel like I'm really being downplayed here. This is hurtful.
If you give us our best Dobby impression, we'll give you some cheese, too. Dobby has cheese?
Brad has turkey. He's a free Brad now. That is the most important question. Did we get the cow suit yet?
Real question, real quick. If we can ask the cow suit button in a second. Before we get into a tangent, has anyone here played the new Harry Potter game?
Legacy?
Yeah.
I've heard good things about it. I have not played it, though.
I don't even like the Harry Potter series.
Whoa. You better not say that too loud. Brit's not even in the house. She's going to hear you disparaging Harry Potter. She'll show up at your house, just shank you.
I'll just give her some weed and we'll be all right. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, like a doctor is strong.
But the thing is like I'm not a fan of the series. And I bought the game just to try it out because everyone said it was good. And, like, I'm not kidding. I've had my PS5 for, like, maybe a year and a half, and I have less than 10 hours logged on it total. I have, like, in the last week, I have, like, 20 hours on this game. Like, it is really good. It's the first game that actually got me dragged into my PS5, and I'm really enjoying it. So, Brad, do you have a PS5?
Yes.
So when I'm done with this game, which I'm almost done, I'll just bring it over to you, and you can just borrow it for a while. It's fantastic. You gotta play it if you like Harry Potter.
I dig Harry Potter. Brit is living Harry Potter. Life is Potter. We have so much Harry Potter stuff.
I got a video I wanna show them where a comedian's making fun. Basically, it's like what Nathan said. The guy's making fun of the show. He's like, anyone ever realize that Harry Potter is just like the poor man's version of Star Wars? And they're like, what? He's like, think about it. Like both movies are about a young man who is raised by his uncle, who won't talk about his father's and his parents, and then some old man comes and teaches him the way of the like magical force. Just goes on and on, dude. It's hilarious.
Seen that bit.
That
It's
was
really
a
good.
loving,
Yeah.
caring relationship, and one of those was locking them underneath the cupboard.
Yes.
You know, you made us go off the rails. So we were going to talk about the recap. We'll talk about it in the back half hour because I do want to talk about the ludicrously large, gigantic Marine guns that come out this weekend, and also the just silly ass what the hell old school names. Like I feel like somebody went asked like their 5-year-old, what should we name this, and he went Super Frag Rocket Launcher Mega Back.
Super crack.
So
The minute I saw it was called Super Crack Missile, I'm like, oh no, they did not.
I just thought of. I'm not gonna say it, but there's a lot of memes that came in when I heard super crack. I'm like, ooh. The first one comes to my. Actually, I gotta say one is Dave Chappelle in that show he used to do, and he got the guys like, anyone got any of that super crack around here?
I'm here for the free crack.
Actually,
Super Crack, Super Frag. And I was like, the Super Frag was the one that I was like, oh, that's a 70s reference.
yeah. I honestly, I'm gonna be minority here, and I don't think the models are that ugly. I don't think they're the best models ever made. I think they've obviously had a lot better, but I don't think they're hideous. But I think the rules are pretty good. I don't. The rumored point.
The
is
rules.
35 points a model.
I have to give a real quick shout out because I played John at Melee first round, and the terrain was quite light, and he was playing his orcs with big old tank trucks, and I go first, and he's like, "Oh man, it's a little bit light, so you can see everything." I went first, and he popped his force field, but his mech did not get the message that he popped the force field, and I shot his army, and he legitimately made 1 5-up, and then he came and attacked me, and 2 units of Storm Boys did 2 units to a speeder, and 1 went into my bikes, did absolutely fuck all. I punched him back and killed like a guy. He failed melee, and everybody died. And I just looked and went, "You want to talk about this, man?" He's like, "I need to go to therapy is what I need to do. This is bullshit." So, but
Interesting.
Well, let's talk about these Marines.
dude,
Actually,
I love the fact that the Super Crack, you guys got to look at the picture because the Super Crack rocket launcher has like the surprise bonus flaps that pop up and go, "Oh shit, there's rockets in here, bitch."
What was that movie from like the 90s? It looks like that robot's head from that movie, Disassemble.
Yeah, it looks like Johnny Five.
Johnny
Yes.
Five.
Yeah, it is. It
100%
is
looks
Johnny,
like
Five.
I was going to say the same thing. Oh, God.
honestly,
Don't disassemble.
when I look at the rules for them, they're not that bad actually. Like I think the missile launchers are. I think it's weird you can't switch between 2 versions, but whatever. But they get like everyone's gonna take Super Crack in my opinion, and because who doesn't want Super Crack? And then you also get like little motors attached to them. So like every guy has the crack missiles and the strength 4 AP1 shots that ignore cover. Or not cover.
That's the one that I don't get is the Wegener launcher and the Castellan launcher. It seems like the rules on that are just strange.
Well, everyone gets the Castellan launcher. Only the sergeant can take the what do you call it? The
Wegener? Okay.
Yeah,
But every guy has the super missile, and then they have the little belt-fed Castellan launcher that's the ignore line of sight shooting. So it's like you put a Devi squad with missiles and a motor team from Guard into one model. So,
Do
dude,
we know if these are 5'10" or if they're 3'6"?
I don't know.
they're gonna be 3.6 probably.
Because if they're 5'10" with Chapter Master and Iron Hands, that's a lot
You
of
can.
good.
Well, the thing is, I was just looking at that because I could see spamming a Castellan launcher on everybody. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, I think they all come with it regardless. That's the underslung weapon, and then
Also,
I think it's just it. The looks of it is just 5. Because I think they come in a box of 5.
But like they're a heavier elite choice, so all heavier elite choices come in boxes of
The
5.
Castellan launcher is like a 36-inch indirect blast weapon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Right.
that's not fucking around, you know?
That's kind of scary.
It's D3 shots as well.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
With black.
But like,
I don't think the gun looks that bad. It just looks like a square missile launcher compared to the round missile launcher. I'm like, whatever.
I
Like,
don't care. I love the fact
I don't-
that now that I've realized that this is Johnny 5, I just want to take super crack rocket launches on everyone.
You can do some fun painting with that, that's for sure.
Johnny 5 says hello.
Question for you: the salamander strat that gives you +1 to wound, is that +1 on a unit or +1 on a unit that you're targeting?
5. Put me in, coach. What was the
Right.
question again?
The salamander's +1 to wound strat, is that the one that do you give +1 to wound to the unit shooting, or do you get +1 to a unit you're targeting?
No, you give +1 to the unit that you +1 to your units. You can do it at any phase though. That's why it's so awesome.
So that means you can get +1 to wound from what? So you said it's the unit. So you can make your ignore line of sight shooting.
Yes,
something
that's what I'm
+1
saying. I would with salamanders, I would do that all day long. These are straight
Yeah.
for you. Like, all right, well, I would just make them +1 to wound and just go, hey, take a lot of saves.
And then your missile launcher is also getting +1 to wound as well. So a
Mhm.
different hit. Not
Yeah.
bad.
It
Yeah,
depends
no,
on circumstances, right?
I don't know. I'm not feeling it, but then again, there's other things that do almost a similar role. I got to see the point cost before I can make a true determination on how I feel about it.
Like
Most
when,
things you're going to shoot those with, they're going to have at least 6 models, so it's almost a guaranteed 3 shots per guy. So you can get 15 shots at hitting on force because it's going to be ignore line of sight with full rerolls, and then +1 wound. That's pretty spicy for just a secondary shot.
Not
Wait.
ignore cover and +1 save. That's going to get
is
kind of rough.
is there any chance someone could model a super crack rocket launcher that just is a guy holding Johnny 5? Because I want that specifically.
There will be the rule of 34 of getting a 3D printed model up within the next couple of days now.
I mean, you could just make like Johnny 5s because he was number 5, and you can make other Johnnies, and you could just have the sergeant be a guy with like a control computer.
Just a bunch of Johnny 5s. I love everything about that.
Keep in mind, Steven, that the weapon is natively AP1 on the ignore line of sight shooting, so the +1 armor save you're getting is kind of like negated. Unless you shoot something that has like
Ooh.
old armor.
Guys,
You'll be getting 2% cover on 3-up save regardless.
I want you to know, guys, that I have an actual well-painted army on the way. It's a very long-term project, but I traded sexual favors to Blake, and I'm getting unicorns made for Eldar.
Nice. I'm excited to see it.
So, and then for my Marines, I'm definitely getting some Johnny 5s done. So,
I'm more
super
excited.
crack.
So let's talk about the upcoming tournament we got coming up, right? I want to talk about Cherokee.
Are we just not, we're just ignoring the weekend? Is that what we're doing? Tom didn't play in a tournament. Now he won't talk about us.
He doesn't want to talk about anybody else.
Yeah, he's just like, screw you guys.
Brad, I like talking about my favorite subjects, right? My favorite subjects, anything not to do with Brad.
Tom, made you proud this weekend, okay? You said that I needed to be more aggressive with my Tau. So I switched out a broadside for a stealth suit unit with a homing beacon, and I definitely dropped on someone turn 1 with full rerolls and completely eviscerated a quarter of their army on GW
Oh,
trade.
that's so good. And when is Cherokee, by the way?
This weekend.
Oh, it's this weekend?
Yeah.
Oh, shit. All right, well, let's before we talk about Cherokee, let's talk about Brad's tournament. Come on, Brad. Tell us about the Shiloh tournament.
Fine. It was a good tournament. We ran five games in somewhere in Arkansas. I'm not 100% sure. I think it might be in Shiloh. Maybe. I got kidnapped from Blake. I learned that if you guys don't know, I learn it every time I get stuck because I miss my connector. Flew from Detroit to Chicago to then to Arkansas, and I had to sprint to get to the next flight, and they basically just shut the door in my face as I'm just sweaty old man going, ah. And then I went on a vision quest because they're like, go to our help desk to see what they can get you. And then their help desk was like, we have no flights, but we think United does. And you have to go to their help desk, which is in a terminal in Guam somewhere. So figure it out. So I went there. And then they said you can get a flight, but it's in 4.5 hours. And then I was like, no problem. I'll get something to eat and I'll drink. And those airport prices, man, they are so economical. It was no big deal to get drinks while I was there waiting.
And Brad, check your messages because I just sent you the Johnny 5 model.
Please. I need this so much.
I found a 3D print Johnny 5, which means you can scale it.
This is happening, everyone. I'll have this the next tournament. This is going down.
I don't think you will.
This is amazing. Oh, here's the thing, guys. I would have been on War Games Live, and I love being on War Games Live. Joe's got the best stream with those side cameras and all the things he's got going on. I just had such a conglomeration of random stuff because I had showed up without the models I needed, and the community did a great job of getting them to me, but I was afraid of the internet starting me on fire because I heard sometimes the internet can be mean to you, and I was a little worried about that.
Can only be mean to you if you let it be mean to you.
So I did tell Joe that 100% I will be on the Cherokee stream this weekend. So we're going to see how beautiful Sam's models look when I'm on stream, because I am playing with 100% his models. I am bringing what I like to call a bag of dicks and nothing else.
So we have a lot of people asking about your GSE match. So
super hard, man. Super hard. A great game against Peyton. That match is so I've been saying for a while now, guys, GSC is such a great army. It's got so many options. He took the board. He was playing with a unit of pure strain, so he just smoked out my infiltrators and bounced. He didn't bounce. He kind of went for a riskier play and tried to pick up my aggressors. Made a couple lucky rolls. He went for like the bonus damage and stuff like that, and he beat him up a little bit, but I was able to make a decent amount of saves and feel no pains to really muck it up. And I killed a ton of shit, but man, I was so behind. He had a turn where two guys made ones on morale checks, and instead of a 4, he got a 12, and that really made my butthole pucker a little bit. But the biggest thing is I was out of position a little bit with the flamers, and I had to be way more aggressive with them mid-board because you need that volume against GSC, because they can just steal your primary and move block you, and just they keep taking their secondaries are so good, especially with because it's their deployment, the how many models are on the entire board, and then no man's land in your deployment. And we were playing board corner deployment, so like basically everything that's not that little corner is the middle, and so they can just churn up the points. And I had to play fairly cautious and boxing out, and then I had to make a late push. Killed a bunch of stuff, but he had just denied me so many points, doing a good job on that. But I was able to, at the very end, make some big plays, and really I gave him like almost no points in turn 4 and 5. So I had to make really big pushes at the end. But that GSC is a terrifying army to play against, especially, and that's on an open board. I was able to get a lot of free shots the entire game, shooting downfield. So I was able to put a lot more shots into the bikes than normally I would be. So, and the big thing is that you can't, when you guys are playing against GSC, it is so important to realize what are just the traps, which are, hey, there's 4 guys with 16 guys behind a wall and 4 seismic cannons. And when you shoot that squad, if you're not picking up all 20 guys, you're picking up basically nothing, because they get 2d6, max 6 back. So you're just killing almost nothing half the time you're doing stuff. So you need to make sure you're setting up those angles and redundancies so that you can put volume and make sure you clear out full units. Like my first turn, I put everything that I could into 1 unit of jackals to make sure I picked up the whole unit, because man, getting 2 wolf quads back and somebody else, all of a sudden it's 10 more wounds that are coming back. It's a big big deal that you set those up. That's why it's a terrifying army, because if you make any mistakes, they can just really punish you for them with the reses and taking that board away. Thank you for the Tim on that. Yeah, it was a 5-0. It was tough. It's always tough.
So, and not to go too far off what you were just saying, but kind of someone asked a question for that Floor Sweepers Union. Does not investing any hobby skill into armies give you a competitive edge?
Yes and no. Well, that's a real question on that, though, because like, not only am I driving the bandwagon, but I have the attention span of a gnat, so I like to play different things all the time. So not worrying about hobby stuff does allow me to bounce all over the place, but I'm never going to win overalls because I'm just not going to bring the best stuff. But also, it does give you, I mean, I do this for, all day, every day for a living. So like, I keep up on more things than most people do, but like staying with a faction does make you a faction expert, and it gives you more outs. Like playing Eldar all year last year up until the second, third of it, was a big deal because I was just playing it so much that even though it was a weaker faction, I still found outs a lot of times. So yes and no. So play your pretty stuff. The rule of cool always applies.
I want to compound on that. As
good.
Tom mentions with Tau, with Death Guard, a lot of the things that you don't normally think of, right? We can boil down a lot of factions to being 3 to 4 stratagems that you will use consistently, but those stratagems that are 1 in every 10 games can win you those games every 1 in 10 games, right? Mm-hmm. Over the weekend, in one game, I blew up, when he killed crisis suits, I blew up 3 of my own crisis suits because it was more effective than me trying to kill the things that were in melee, and that gave me a free activation the next turn to be able to advance out and then be able to hit them in their backfield, right? So there's a lot to be said of the more reps that you have with your codex and the more detailed knowledge that you have of it, the more niche situations that you're going to be able to work yourself out of.
100%. I believe it so much. I mean, that applied to Tom. You're crushing Tau all year long. You know what I mean? You basically knew every single situation and scenario that you could be in and how to play out of it. Think of like when we first did the demons and stuff like that. The first time we saw demons versus Tau, it seemed super, super bad. Then we played into it and talked through it a million times, and all of a sudden you're like, yeah, I beat demons every time kind of feel. You know what I mean?
I never lost to demons. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I'm just saying. It's just one of those things where we thought it was a bad match, and at first, and then that's when, the experience of playing, one faction all the time does.
Yep. Well, it's also like when you play one faction, like we started doing, we started building in the grenade on the relic grenade on one squad. So you'd always leave that squad behind for it could fly over and try to do mortal wounds in the movement phase. And I've had multiple games where you're like, okay, it only does D3 mortal wounds, but that D3 mortal wounds, it got me through something that was wound capped that I had was down to the last 2 or 1 wounds, and then it took them out of combat, and then that unit can now activate normally, like just like small caveats like that. But I'd like to get my opinion on it. So when he asked, does not investing any, oops, someone just lost the camera.
Probably.
Okay. Does not investing any hobby skill in armies give you a competitive edge? I don't think it gives you a competitive edge in any way, because you guys think as when people become really good painters, they're putting as much time into learning that craft, if not more, than people do to be better at the game. I actually think to be good at painting, it takes more practice and more patience than to actually be good at the actual competitive side. And I don't think a lot of people have the time available to them to master both crafts because they are 2 different crafts. So I think that's why a lot of times you will see the best hobby players are usually like mid-table. There's a few exceptions where they're top table players, but it's very rare. And you see a lot of the top table players, with a few exceptions, once again, that are also great hybrids, but most top table players are not the best painters. It takes a lot of time to master that painting. So I think that's when you look at it that way, you're choosing one or the other. And if fortune favors you and you have enough time to master both, or you're just naturally gifted at one, power to you.
There's series besides like Naden, Ganya. It's really hard to be fantastic at a painter and a player. That's why the overall is such a big deal on that, because there's so few guys that are amazing at both.
Real quick, Fate. Have you seen a strong GSC list, or do you think you take a major? We actually, on mine and Brad's 5-man team that's built for teams, Nick Rose has been sending us a lot of lists. He's been practicing GSC, and I think that man has every bit of capability of winning the GT, especially the way he's talking. You look at his history and what he was known for and what he did before. Now he's back. When a player of his caliber picks up the factions, because it has what it takes. So to answer your question, yeah, GSC definitely has what it takes to win.
Just go 5-1 at a GT, and really it was his first run back with them.
Yeah, he had that, and he had I think a 4-0-1 tournament back to back. He did really, really well.
Yeah.
So he's already, trying to shake off the rust. But like that army, I don't even think we've had the final form. It's really good. It's actually really good into the meta too. Mm-hmm. Just like a lot of armies.
Well, it's like that's the army that I've been trying to tinker with, and Brad and I have sent a few lists back and forth to each other. And I keep leaning between, 2 and 3 units of jackals, and I keep falling back onto 3 of them because I just think they're really strong.
They can just auto win the things, like even the toughest army in the game right now, I think, is Guard. And they can do just a world of suck to that army because they can just pin it in its deployment zone for multiple turns. Just, unit of jackals up, next turn, unit of jackals up. They kill all the trash.
Depends who goes first, because Guard has ways of blocking the jackal movement.
100%. But I'm just saying they have the tools to mess around with that army. Also, it really depends on what kind of terrain you're looking at. You know what I mean? The heavier to the terrain, the more just insanity the GSC get. Because if you get a super heavy board, good luck on clearing all that crap out of there.
Yeah. I think Guard actually has a good advantage against GSC, and I think it's the only apex predator to GSC as Guard. I think GSC pretty much wipes the floor with all the other meta. Maybe Eldar could do well in GSC just because they can do the MSU trade game and it moves so quick. But any other army, I think GSC has advantage against Tau, because Tau in its latest nerf, you have to drop even a little bit more stuff. So you really have to make some really tough decisions with Tau right now. And I still think Tau is super strong. I think he do very, very well. I still love the faction. But I think that last round of changes, especially losing the planes, is going to give GSC the advantage. But, you look at GSC and the Custodes, GSC. GSC and the Marines, GSC, in my opinion, for most of the Marines. Maybe Wolves can give them a run, but...
Biggest issue that I think GSC has is that they're so fragile. And so mistakes cost you so much more 100%. In that faction than anything else, right? You have no durability. And so many of your secondaries are so reliant upon the fact that you have models still on the table to be able to score them, that one mistake of a misplacement can cost you an entire game. And it's crazy, the skill gap between learning that codex and playing. One of the biggest things I think that helps them now is that planes now being gone in general is one of the biggest things they had to deal with before, was they just couldn't deal with planes. And now they're in a really good spot with, I don't have to worry about a plane moving to my backfield until turn 3.
Yeah, I think that's a big deal no one's really talking about. Also, people, people are talking about things like GSC is not that strong because it doesn't have a great win rate and stuff like that. Well, very few top players are playing it.
There's 61% for the.
They have the highest win rate right now. Period.
Yeah, they have the highest win rate there is.
The lowest amount of games in.
Right.
You can have a huge win percentage when you're a low amount of games.
They went up really high. They played 97 games this weekend. Still got a 57% win rate for the weekend, and that's 61% for the 5 weeks that we've had this season.
I'm not talking about this season yet. I don't think there's enough to talk about this. I'm talking about before.
Yeah. But I think that in the Arcs of Omen is when they actually are going to come in their own, because you couldn't even build the optimized list that you can bring now with the old ways of building lists.
I don't think you're going to see the meta unfold until the first big tournament, in my opinion, which is Cherokee. I think in a lot of these tournaments we've seen, there's only been a handful of top players that's been driving their factions up.
Right. So as you talk about Cherokee, let's talk about our predictions for it.
I will
Brad,
predict.
what do you think is going to win Cherokee? What faction do you think is going to win Cherokee?
Space Wolves.
There are 7 Space Wolves players currently on the BCP.
I only care about one.
So Ogden, what do you think's going to be in that top?
Do I think he's gonna be in the top for factions wise or player wise?
Let's go with faction wise.
I think Tau has a good chance still being up there with the current meta. We'll see. I think we'll see GSC up there. I think we'll see Marines, which is going to be, in my opinion, Iron Hands and Space Wolves. And I think Guard. That's the top faction. I think is going to be in Cherokee.
Raleigh?
I honestly think that Marines are going to take Cherokee in some variation. I'd like to say Dark Angels are going to take.
You can't go like Marines, man. That's like a billion different. Hey, man.
All right,
I think that like one of these
So it's like,
9 factions that could possibly win.
That was the cop out, so I could be the
Hunt with that shotgun, huh? do you also fish with dynamite? Like what is going on here, man?
So I think it's going to come down to Space Wolves, Iron Hands, GSC for the top 3.
You don't think DA?
I even though I think Dark Angels are a little bit of a boogeyman, I just think there's enough answers for them that they're going to have some problems.
I do have to pop in with a quote. Corey goes, Tom's going to be saying, we haven't seen the ARC's meta unfold right up until the day before 10th goes live.
Oh, no, I don't know, man. Every time we look at these tournaments, we look at like, if you look at a tournament, there's like 4 top players there. Everyone freaks out because those factions do really well. We don't really see the mix until we see like a big tournament where you have like 20 to 30 top players, which Cherokee is the first tournament we've seen that at this season. We'll see. I mean, like, I don't know. You can say what you want to say about me. I feel like Cherokee's gonna be the first. That's what
I get you though. It's really what you see fold out when you have a lot of big names smashing against each other. I got you. Everyone, please like and subscribe. Go to the Patreon, but for sure, just click the damn like button. Just do it for Brad. Do it for the old man. Make a guy happy.
So, Crowley, how did your weekend go overall? What did you do? What did you play?
I played Tau. I went Tawabunga or Tomabunga it is. We'll go with that for this day.
You got to say Tom somebody. We made him a verb.
A lot of people, actually. I had most of my games ending in under an hour. It was fantastic. I got to walk around and play a lot of Watchhammer, lived the Tom life. The only person that I lost to this weekend was our good friend Sean Rice, because we were playing on GW terrain that was very defensive and was really good for melee armies, and Sean's an excellent player. But other than that, it was a really good time. I had a lot of good success. I played the Codex as hard as I could. And I have a lot of places I want to go from there. It was really good.
Was it a GT or RTT?
It was a GT. We did 5 rounds.
Nice. Who won it? Did Sean win it?
John won it.
What was he playing?
He was playing Grey Knights.
I think Grey Knights are so underrated.
How many players?
25 or 26.
Oh, 26 person GT. All right.
Uh-oh. Shots are fired. Ask Steven how much of his army is painted for Cherokee.
I plead the 5th.
The 5th.
Is it Tau?
What?
Is it Tau you're taking?
I am on the fence, but that's a conversation for later.
So I could just send Brad with my army if you need an army.
No. I just got added to the BCP, so I need to put something in there and decide like today. Oh yeah.
I also just got added. I was waiting for the weekend. I'm like, hey man, I'm really excited to put my list in, and then I'm like, apparently I'm not going to this tournament. Like, I mean, look, I didn't get a ticket until way after I bought a plane ticket. I was just hoping for the best. Well, I'm showing up with the Wolves.
Oh. Brad, if you guys remember last week on the show, I pulled the card. I said, Brad.
Yes, you did.
I pulled the Brad card. I said, Brad, if you're my friend and you care about me, you will play Wolves.
Here, Brad, do me a favor. You can create polls for the channel, right?
Yes.
If you have hit the like button, I would like to put a vote up. Vote if I'm going to play Tau or Dark Angels this weekend.
Oh, I'm on it.
Besides,
I'm getting this poll ready.
I think he should play Admech. That's what I think he should play.
back they're all painted. That would be easier.
Oh yeah, I'm ready. Never mind. I changed my mind.
I think you should go GSC.
I don't have that.
Those are
I
winners
put
talks right there.
I put AdMac as an option.
If it goes to AdMech, I'll pick whatever I want.
Hold on, let me. I'm gonna choose Tau for you. Can I not vote on my own poll?
I only got 13 votes already. AdMax winning, baby. Looks like you're playing AdMax.
It's a runaway.
Gave 2 options, so I am a-okay with picking my own if the chat decides to go to Tom damage it is. Actually,
So,
what
Tom, you're not making Cherokee?
I'm not going Cherokee now. I didn't even know when it was until you guys get to this weekend. I'm definitely not going this week. This weekend, and it's sold out, so I don't got a ticket.
It's how to register. That is true. I did not know.
KR, the DA build is basically a variation of Oops All Terminators because I think that.
Oh, don't do that.
Boo! Boo!
If you like losing tournaments, go ahead and do that.
Oh, shots fired!
I know, right?
That sounds like a Tau versus Dark Angels TTS game a little later tonight.
I know. You had to
I will
make this
take that
happen.
challenge.
I do need to see why. I want to see what we can do here in a vicious TTS showdown.
I want to do some shots fired here real quick, though. We talk about the factions. Let's talk about who we think is going to win Cherokee.
I think it's going to be our good friend Brad here.
Faction wise, besides myself, if we can't pick ourselves on it, I still think Tao's super strong on player place train. GW train, I don't think they're as strong. I think they're still very strong, but I think they're most lethal on player place terrain because you can set up your best staging areas and your long. You can basically make those death boxes, you know what I mean, where your opponent just has to go on player place terrain. So I think that they're going to be up there for sure. I think guard's just amazing. It's just hard not to pick them right now because they are just ridiculous. You know what I mean? You can, between Russes, buffed Castricans, those guys do so much damage, and you get auto wins against the T3 armies by just bringing 9 mortars. So I can't see myself not picking them to be up there at the top.
We're talking about players, not faction, Brad. We already talked factions. You're too late for that.
Would you say I'm so 2000 late? I'm totally using that again.
So I have a question before I make my pick. Because I have 2 players on my pick. Brad, are you drinking at Cherokee or no?
I'm gonna win.
So you're not drinking?
After the games.
I pick Brad Chester. Calling it right now.
I'm looking at the field right now, trying to make a solid choice.
See, I think that Tau would do well to piggyback off of what Brad was saying before. My only concern is I don't know what Tau does into guard.
It does fine in the guard if you play it right. I honestly, I think a dark horse, Breton Weiss. I watched Breton play at the Canadian tournament 2 weekends ago, and he looked super focused. He did really, really well. He only lost 1 game, and there were some shenanigans that happened in the game. We found out afterwards. I'm not going to get into details. It's not going to add anything.
Shenanigans?
Shenanigans, yeah. We'll talk about it off the camera. I'm not going to talk about that in camera. Doesn't do us any good. But the thing is, Breton played super well. He's played the best I've ever seen him play, and he just saw the game differently. So I think our boys finally starting to cross the Rubicon and seeing, top end plays. Not that he didn't see him before, but he sees them more consistently now. So, and he wants to win his first super major. So, I think Breton Weiss has a shot. He did really, really well.
100%.
Oh, Tom has no faith in me.
You don't even know you're playing it, so I can't pick you if you don't know you're playing.
That should mean you should pick me even more. So.
One of your options is all Terminators. I'm like, yeah, okay, I'm not picking you on that one.
That's it. I'm doing all Terminators, and I'm going to win Cherokee just to give you...
I'm going to beat the crap out of you just so the Terminators don't win.
All I have to do is have you run into a guard play before.
Please don't take all Terminators. Please don't take all Terminators. Please don't.
All right. So I after looking at because I was really serious. I wanted to look at the roster. I'm going to give it to either Brad or Brenton. I think those are my 2 choices.
keep in mind, I'm also very pro teammates. Harpster is going, and can't underestimate.
I don't think Harpster is going to win in this one. I think he had his magic. I'm going to give it to Brad or Brenton. I think Harpster's going to be in that top 4. Don't get me wrong, but I want to give it to one of the boys.
I'm very pro teammates, but I'm also not going to just write that guy out. That guy is a great player.
He's an amazing player.
I think Brad's bringing home if he's not drinking. And if we see Brad, we've seen the LVO. Brad, not that Brad wasn't good last season, but I even told Brad LVO this. Like it was the old Brad. That was the
I've been rocking it out this week. I rocked it out this weekend again. I was rocking
Brad with no drinks. I'm going to quote him on this. He was like, "Man, this game is so easy when you're
easy, man. This is dumb. This game's so easy. I can see everything." I'm not talking about see my plays. I mean, I can actually see the board. It's so easy when you can do that.
Besides, I didn't look at the list. Besides Harpster, Brad, Breton, and Steven, who else is in like the top 50 ranked that's going in this tournament? At least top 50.
I didn't see a ton.
In all seriousness, I don't really look at who's there until lists are live because I just don't care until I can actually specifically get into matchups. And
I got Adam Camilleri, who's a pretty good player.
Robin Roberts, who's a really good GSC player with a lot of
really good GSC player.
Robin Roberts is a good player. Yep.
Jeremy Stan's a really good player with Custodes.
Yep.
I just don't see Custodes winning it all in the current edition. Like, we've seen him do really well at LVO a year, like not last one to one.
Seriously, Tom. It just makes me think of that. Continue afterwards. I apologize, but like Custodes, if they win the terrain role every single time, yes. If not, they can just have some tough matches.
Yeah. Bikes not being able to show off rerolls is a big deal. Not to mention they're so expensive, and when they did well at that LVO, there wasn't a lot of lethality in the game at that moment. It got turned down big time. Like Drukari was nerfed, Tau wasn't out yet, Guard wasn't guard yet. Like there's just
is Birdsong going?
Is Birdsong going to Cherokee?
I didn't see him on the list.
Yeah, he's not on the list currently.
He's a strong player though.
I love Birdsong. Love me some Birdsong. Good dude.
So I'm psyched for this tournament, by the way. I'm getting picked up early. We still, if Endy's on, we haven't figured. You haven't told us. Endy's supposed to be joining us, may or may not, and then just kind of left it at that and was like, "Hey, can you guys pick me up from an airport? I don't know which one, and I don't know what time. I'll get back to you." I'm like, Jesus, man, you've been talking to me way too much, giving this kind of bullshit directions. You can't pull that kind of crap. Only I get to do nonsense like that.
It's like my work this week was like, "Didn't you have an event you were supposed to go to this weekend?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, I considered it." And they were like, "Well, if you still want to take Friday off, you can." And I'm like, "Oh, if it wasn't just a 15-hour drive to get
Yeah, Andy, that is a schmedium move for sure.
Oh yeah, I don't know. I think Brad, you got it. I'm calling her right now. Putting it out there.
I already told you. I said it the last cast we did. I already called my mom. Told her I won Cherokee. No. There's so much pressure on that now. I'm like, don't scrub, Brad. Don't scrub.
Well, I was talking to Brett earlier, and she told me if you don't win it, she's not letting you come home. So
yeah, that's true. Also, I get real good pep talks from my wife. Win the tournament or don't come home. Thanks, baby.
So, what does she do when you normally come in Brad place?
I just lie.
Okay, that's fair.
Because if I win all my games, that's all I tell her. I'm just like, what happened? I won all my games.
Yeah. It's been awkward. The last couple tournaments being Brad went to, we coming home from terms like, "Yo, can I stay at your house this weekend? Because since you beat me, I can't go home."
I can't go home, Dick. Thanks for ruining my house, Tom.
So Tom, is your next event Adepticon?
Yeah, my next event's probably done. I guess there's a RGT. Someone said in chat next week, and I might go to that. Haven't decided yet. But
Ooh, did I not put my faction in?
Connor Ward tells me there's an RTT at Ann Arbor. Connor, are you still in here? Is that Ann Arbor? Is that Upkeep or is that Golden Rhino? Because Upkeep, I would definitely consider it. It's Golden Rhino.
Lyle said he's got a RTT next week also. I don't remember where it is. It's the one that that sells alcohol. It's got a bar. That's all I remember.
Oh, so the lovely folks in Rochester, New York, are getting a treat. One of the guys who is a member of a moose club down there was like, "Hey, yeah, Brian, we can get you into an event for an RTT." And they were like, "It's a low cost for the venue, and they will have a bar and food." And I went, "When are we scheduling that for?" So April 22nd, the folks in Rochester are going to get me out there to run a little RTT for a Saturday out of my normal area of running them. So it's going to be nice.
Hold on. Here's the deal. I don't really know how to find where do you change your faction? I'm gonna do it right now, everyone.
Under player details.
Player details. All right, I'm doing it right now. Hold on. Oh, I found it. Oh, this is super easy to find. I should have done this before.
My favorite thing was when Brad's first event for Death to Glory, he looked at his team and says DOG. And I'm like, Brad, what the fuck is that? That doesn't count, Brad.
Counts.
And it's like the weird thing. It's like lowercase d, lowercase o, capital G. And I'm like, what the fuck are you even doing here?
We're gonna find like 6 scores at the end of the year for Brad and the team. Just
at one point in time, I had multiple sister scores, and I was ranked in the sisters for faction standings because I just never changed my rankings, and it defaulted to sisters every time.
So that's a good idea, Brad. When I switch to guard, I'm just gonna keep putting Tau as my faction, for I can still keep my ranking in Tau, even though I'm not playing them.
Nice.
there are a few people that are upset with you, sir.
Look, man, there's totally Tau inside those tanks. You don't know that.
Yeah, I'll just model them as Tau fire warriors. Those obviously are not Cadian. Those are fire warriors.
Dude, I have probably 100 fire warrior heads in the attic. I can definitely make this happen for you.
Let's do it.
We got a Johnny 5. We got Tau, Fire Warrior Imperial Guard. I've got Unicorn Eldar coming. 2023 is going to be a great year.
I don't need to buy Lehman Russes. I'll just use my hammerheads as Lehman Russes.
Just put some turrets on it.
Always.
Dude, how jank would that look all the way at the edge of you put devilfish into it. They're already so wide. You just put turrets at the edge of those and start looking around corners.
No. Just take off the hammerhead turret and put Lehman Russ turrets on it.
There you go.
And nothing else. Fuck it, just fire smart missiles. Screw it. Just screw with people's heads.
Yeah, those smart missiles are actually proxies for heavy bolters.
Ooh, you know what you could do? Tell people you've got the new upgrade. You took instead of heavy bolter sponsons, you took rail cannon sponsons. Just fire those.
Yeah.
That
You know
thing
what the funny thing is when I was playing Tau and even against other Tau players, I was like move up like long strike and shoot his guns. And they're like, how does he have so many little shots? I did the 10-point upgrade for the burst cannons. They're like, that's the thing. It's like, yeah, it's like one of the best 10-point upgrades in the entire game.
Because
what they also have +1 to win.
Because even though Tom has multiple things in his army that have 72-inch guns, fuck you, I'm moving to 18 and shooting everything.
18 inches maybe for my strength 6 AP one shot.
Yeah. It's like I could
also do knights on 4s. It's fucking great.
It's like I could sit back here and you'd have no shots back, but I could also kill your entire army and then you also have no shots back.
I actually played against Diogo and the Canada event, the Stutter Snotwing, and I was listening to their podcast because they linked to me. So you got to listen to me. He talked about China, so I listened to it, and he's talking about our game and like one of the undefeated final games was me and him. He played Votan. He's like, yeah, I moved my whatever they call the land raiders or the fuck they call those things. Fortress. Yeah, I moved to the middle. I was like, this is gonna be great. Like, if he somehow kills my fortress, I'll get 12 points. If he doesn't, I still get 12 points. And then I ended my turn because I couldn't see nothing. And then Ogden decided to go, okay, it's go time on turn 1, and pull his entire army out to go toe to toe.
Of course it is. Turn 1. Woo, yeah.
Nope.
Doesn't matter. Turn 1, baby, coming out. It's like all the Riptides came out, all the Christ came out, and then he started just killing shit. I think the quote is like the fucking started. Right?
Jesus. Why don't all your jerseys say no chill?
They should.
Absolutely no chill. We need to continually play next to each other because people could go, are those guys playing the same game? Not just the same game.
You know what the funny thing is? Both of my losses last season were games that I didn't go full blown out turn 1. I waited till like turn 3 or 4. And obviously I can't play well because the only games I did that and I suck at it. I lost both games. I just need to go cowabunga every single game turn 1.
Always be charging. You're playing Tau. Same thing. Go, go, go.
Why are you rushing to get into combat? Because I can still shoot him in combat. Duh.
I did get called out by Pajamas on we're getting World Eaters ready for Adepticon and the style and what I was trying to play in our team practice. And he goes, do you just play every army like it's elves? I'm like, yeah, kind of.
Yeah. Brad's the biggest bitch I've ever seen when it comes to playing 40K. What's up, Matt, baby boy?
What's up, Matt?
Thanks for joining us.
But
Brad's like, man, I one time saw Brad have a Terminator unit that was -1 to hit and transhuman, and he was still hiding behind a piece of wall. I'm like, what do you fucking do? He's like, yo, man, I don't get shot.
He's like, he only has bolters. Yeah, those, you don't know. You don't know.
I can fail 2-ups, bro. You never know. You have a 2-up with a 6-up, feel no pain, yeah? And?
It seems too dangerous. I can't make those kind of risky decisions. I'm gonna hide behind this wall. So, it seems the only way to play it. That was what they called us. They were talking about the differences in our play styles, and they go, Tom kills everything, and Brad doesn't want to roll any dice ever. And I'm like,
I one time watched Brad play a game where he rolled less than 8 dice the entire game. I'm not kidding.
I just didn't move. I also just ran away every time. I don't remember when I was playing. They had something super slow, and I was just like, well, fuck this. I'll just leave.
We were playing Eldar against Dark Angel Terminators.
Yes. I was like, I'm just not going to shoot you.
You should definitely try that this weekend if we play.
He's like,
run away from it the whole time.
He was like, once a turn, I'm just going to turbo boost these bikes on your objective. And then when they go to shoot, like, I'm just going to pull the bikes off now. I'm not even going to worry about it. They're just dead. Good. Like, and that's counting the dice rolls, by the way, if we had to take for save. It was absolutely ridiculous. I was like, I'm just going to sit back here and hide and just run away from you the entire game. Oh, it's turn 3? Let me take this objective from you. You lose your stubborn defiance.
See? It all worked out in the end.
Yep.
Exactly, KR. We're going over that. How to basically go and make sure that you're in the right position. If you're playing a slow army, you have to have your plan. And I'm going to leave everybody on that for tonight. Your plan, like Crawley, if you bring all Terminators all the time, your game plan basically is whatever your game plan is, and you just ignore what the hell your opponent's trying to do on that, because you can't be baited somewhere because your little 5-inch legs. It's like watching me walk somewhere. I can't catch up, guys.
To show something else.
Huh? I
want to end the show on something else.
Hit me.
Brad promised us all a win at Cherokee, so we're all gonna, channel our inner Brittany, and if he doesn't win, he's not walking back on the show.
I'm gonna. Can I at least have my voice? I'll just put up a cow picture.
Yes, that's fine.
All right, that's acceptable. That's acceptable.
Brad has to be the cow for a month if he doesn't.
Just one session. Just one.
One session.
I do want you guys to know that the poll was laughably AdMac. 41 votes.
I'm going for second place.
49% AdMac.
Because we only have 27 likes on the stream and 41 votes. So obviously the 21 are the folks who didn't like the stream before they voted.
I love everything about this. All I want to say, everybody, is I'd like to talk one more time about the super crack missile. Come on. Super crack Johnny 5!
Super frag!
There is no way I'm not getting drunk playing this, though. Oh, I'm going to that RTT and bringing these, because I am going to get lit and just scream, Super crack Johnny 5 coming at you! Brad, it's not even your turn. Screw you! Super crack Johnny 5 coming at you! It's my move phase, Brad. Super crack Johnny 5! So, I'm 100% going to that tournament. Tom, you're going. I don't know where it is again. It's somewhere in Michigan. I can narrow it down to that.
What is it?
Lyle knows. Ask him. He's an adult. Also, remember when I got that ticket and I didn't have any of my stuff in my car on the way to Vegas? Well, let me show you guys. Here's my 4 things I got in the mail that says Michigan just fined me about $1 billion because I forgot it in the backseat of my car. So I'm gonna need a ride because I want to go to your state and go to jail. Just saying.
In Michigan? What?
Right on the way to Vegas, I literally on the way to DTW, I got up accidentally on exit 13 talking to Alan about World Eaters, and I'm like, shit. And exit 15 for everybody listening is the actual airport. So I, of course, made a quick U-turn and got instantly pulled over and didn't have my insurance card on me or my registration.
No.
And I got 1 million tickets that I could have just taken care of and paid like $50, but instead I have like $1 million worth of stuff because I put them in the back seat because I'm an idiot. And then just, a month later, however long it is, I now go, oh, crap. And then I try to take care of them today. And I don't know if you guys know this, but it's a Monday holiday. So, pew, 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 good times.
You know what the worst part in this? We're gonna end this. We're gonna talk about Brad's genius right now. For those that don't know, I live less than 15 minutes from the airport. It is a straight shot down one road to my house from the airport. Not even kidding. A straight shot straight to my house.
Speaking of that, I'm coming to your house on Thursday.
Okay, that's what we're going through. Brad decided to drive to the airport by himself. By the way, we're both going to Vegas, and park at the airport for like $100 for the weekend. And I was like, Brad, you could have just parked at my house and took an Uber for like $15 and it'd have been cheaper. Or guess what? Because I'm your friend, I would just drive you to the fucking airport, which I've done before. Brad is literally like, hit me up, hey man.
Oh, hold on. I have to get this comment because we can't let this one go. Brad, pretty sure after seeing you, they weren't checking to see if you have life. They were checking to see if you have life insurance, not car insurance. And the sad answer to that, by the way, is I can't get life insurance. They basically will just be like, if you give us $1, we'll give you $1 back. That's the only way we're doing this.
On that, everyone, thank you for joining us tonight. And hopefully next show we're talking about
Brad's Cherokee victory.
Yeah.
Cherokee victory.
Or Brenton's.
Or Brenton's. Or Crawley's. I mean, you keep just fucking you're treating him bad. He's ready to
play Admech. You're not winning Crawley, just saying.
I already said that. I don't have a choice, so we're good.
Everyone, take it easy.